All right, welcome back to Barn Burner on a Friday. There's Rhett in his lovely dining room in Buffalo, New York. We're here in the Tower Studios, Tower Chrysler Dodge Ram Jeep, with a very special guest, former Calgary Flames Stanley Cup champion, Corey Sarich. Sir, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. Yeah, hanging in there.
Rhett, turn yourself on. We can't hear you. But
Look at that.
Feast your eyes.
Look at that garb.
Yeah,
There we go. Mic check.
There
What
it
is
is. Look
that
at
gorgeous thing? You should have that your
Yeah,
whole
isn't that
life,
nice?
Archie. Are you
Yeah,
dying?
it really
your
makes me
hair?
look a lot younger. That's what they're telling me.
You got
Takes
some
6
Sergeant
years off.
Slaughter vibes here with this thing. You could be a pro wrestler with a
Yes.
handle like that. Wow.
Yeah.
That's next year Halloween. You're Sergeant Slaughter. Come on.
You got it. I'll probably have put on a few pounds by then too. I'll be fit the role.
Thanks for coming in. How you been?
Everything's great. Yeah, just living life, trying to get a house built. I was going to ask you
Oh
how
my
yours
gosh.
is.
We're in. It's done.
The usual kids sport, very minimal sports net, kind of the.
How many
same
games
old,
are you
same
doing?
old.
We see you on TV. You're doing a great job at the intermissions with Leslie.
Leslie keeps snubbing me. He
Oh,
keeps forgetting when he actually invites me on. So
double booking, yeah.
I gotta, hey, what's going on? Am I in tonight? Oh, sorry. No, you're not. Well, I have 2 or 3 text messages that confirm that I'm supposed to be, but that's not part of his duties. He shouldn't be actually looking.
Not the booking agent.
Yeah, he shouldn't be looking after bringing in the talent. So, and then I was supposed to do one Monday against the Kings a couple weeks back, and it got moved to national, and
Oh, there you go.
not good looking enough for national.
Oh,
So,
is
there
that
you
what
go.
it is? Come on.
No, it's been pretty sparse. I've only had 3 or 4 games this year. Couple more hands in the basket looking to do some analysis. So it's been a bit of a scrap. Hopefully I'll get back on there soon.
Now, I'm sure when you started doing this, you reached out to your old pal Rhett for some advice, because it was a very, very short-lived but wildly successful analyst on TV portion of his career. That phone call happened. It had to have, right? Rhett?
Just like everything in life, Corey Sarich saw me do something because we're back from Saskatchewan. So he saw me do it, and he's like, if that idiot can do it, I can do it way better. And that's just what he's done his whole career. Saskatoon, he'd go and one-up me, and then he'd go and win a Stanley Cup and one-up me. Now he's one-upping me in the media side of things. That's his thing. He sees me, and he's like, ha, I got this. Goes and does it better.
It's the Rhett Warner action plan.
There you go.
If you want to be successful and make money, do what Rhett does.
Yeah.
It's pretty damn simple. Pretty soon I've been looking for spots out there in Williamsville, New York. Maybe
we need
maybe
you
we
to
could be
we need
neighbors.
you to we need you to come back. They had the goat head jersey, the retro jersey on Wednesday night, and the crowd was wound up. The guy that runs the alumni, he's like, do you know any other guys that play? I said, Sarchi, we got to get Sarch back here. Absolutely. They'd love to have you come to town.
It looks better in the gold and blue than it does in red and black like it used to. It was actually, like, I'll never forget, my draft year was the year in 96 that they changed their logo from the traditional, what it is, the buffalo and the sabers and the gold and the blue. They changed it to that, which you spent a lot of time in, Rhett, the goat head.
Whole
That's
career.
I think it's
the whole career.
Yeah. And honestly, I hadn't spoke to Buffalo before that draft at all. And I was sitting there and I was looking down at the floor, and there was only 26 teams at the time. And I was like, is there an expansion team out there? Like, I couldn't even tell that it was a buffalo's head. And then they ended up picking me in the second. I had actually no clue that it was the Buffalo Sabres until they called me up upstairs or up on stage, and I was like, oh, that's their new logo. Holy jeez. I wasn't sure what to think about that thing.
And you weren't in Buffalo long.
No, they took away 2 summers of my life to be out there training, cup of tea, few games, and then gone. Although Rochester was a great experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Buffalo
finally
was
went to
very fleeting.
I finally went to the rink. Well, I think I played an exhibition game in Roch, and I may have played one minor league game, but I was on a bit of a bender when I was in the minors, so I don't remember it. That rink is phenomenal for
Yes.
They haven't changed a damn thing, I'm guessing, for 25, 30 years. Like the music is still rock and roll 80s music. The crowd is rock and roll 80s. Their jerseys are phenomenal. What a place.
I think the only thing they changed, it was the year I got there, was they took the teams from dressing out of the basement and riding the elevator
Yeah.
up to putting them on the main floor.
Okay, this is all coming back to me. I called games in that building for a couple of years in the American League, and it's just like the history. You got like lots of Don Cherry, and then also the NLL franchise is like a powerhouse there, and
Yeah.
that would be one of the only things that's changed. Is like that's now huge, but that's a classic AHL setup they got there.
Yeah, and lots of war memorials throughout New York. You've got, I don't know if Syracuse's was called it as well, but pretty good barn. I think it held about 12,000 right full, and it was right full most of the season I was there, and I was fortunate enough to go to a Calder Cup final. We didn't fare very well, but it was an incredible year, and they've got a great fan base.
Okay,
you
so
you could only send a few up on the elevator too. I think when
at a time she was like
guys,
it was about a third of the team, I think.
got to go up in groups. That's an old barn.
I was pretty fortunate. Our room was brand new when I got there. The Sabres rink, everything was only a couple years old there. It was the franchises were in transition, and now it's hard to believe we're going to be 20 years before we know it here.
So you finally do catch up to Rhett, who you followed along the way, Saskatoon, and you played against each other in the 04 final. After the lockout, you do come over here, 07-08 season, your first in Calgary. Rhett, where's 07-08 for you? Is that the last year you played, or is that the year where you didn't play, but you were on payroll and upset about your hip and your shoulders and all that shit?
08-09 was my last year where I was on payroll and not playing. Yeah, no, I got in touch with Sarchi and said he should come play here and take my job. So it was perfect for me. It was good.
Worked out just like you said, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
Those non-tampering wait till July 1st days.
Hey, he was probably just talking about Stampede. Hey, just come on out.
We're old friends. We're old teammates. We could talk all we want. Yeah. Absolutely.
I got a question for you. Is the thaw happening out there? You still can't see out the windows?
Oh, you know what? You know what it's like here. Like, look at it.
Nothing.
It's gone.
Grass, man.
Well, he was in the wrong part of town / the right part of town. Nope, we just lost you again, Rhett.
Amherst never got hit. It was the South Towns that got slammed, like down by the Bills Stadium there. It is, some people said 81 inches. Like
I remember moving to Rochester from Saskatchewan. I rent my beautiful spot in Rustic Village. And I'm like, so where are the plugins? Where do I plug in the car? And they're like, nope, don't need one of those. They're like, but you might want to leave your shovel on your roof when you head on a road trip. And no joke, there's a few times I came back and you can't see your car.
Whoa.
So just you hope your shovel's still there. Get to work.
Jeez. So what state were the Flames in when you arrived? Because it's like Daryl's come in and affected things big time. You see that Calgary club in the 04 final, but then it's like more and more veterans are coming in. He's now placed himself up as GM, not coaching. Iron Mike's rolling in. Like when you're deciding to commit to Calgary for that last 4, 5, 6 years of your career, what are you looking at, and what are your expectations when you get here?
Well, the thing was, I knew a few of the guys just from mostly playing against. Obviously, I knew Rhett was there. First thing I looked at was the goaltender.
Yeah.
You need one of those to win, and he was pretty darn good. It was kind of an easy transition too. I already had a place here. So selfishly, it was honestly between Calgary and LA scared the crap out of me. And LA wasn't at the same point. They weren't a competitive team.
Yeah.
I think Jonathan Quick had kind of just registered with their team. And obviously they did make some strides within those 5 years that I was in Calgary, and then ended up winning cups. But it was first and foremost the goaltending. I just thought with Kipper, you've got a chance to win. Knew a few of the guys, knew that Aucoin was here, knew that Retro is here. Then it was home. So I the whole Mike Keenan thing, I said once he actually signed here before I did.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, I'm never going there. But you make decisions sometimes based on money, based on your lifestyle, based on what's best for your family. And it was a good fit. And the only thing is with Daryl, and I don't know what Rhett's thoughts on it, but I think it was killing him to not be behind the bench. He's just a much better fit back there. And he was in our dressing room half the time acting as a coach anyways. He might as well have just been, he might as well canned Mike after the first week and got after it. I think we would have fared better.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing is when you're signing up for a long-term contract, that's not the only coach you're going to play for. They just don't last that long, especially Keenan. Like you're thinking, okay, this might not be fun, but there's probably going to be some other coaches too.
Yeah. For me though, as much as I resented him my first year, I had some serious confrontation with him the second year, and I gave him some choice words and said, like, leave me alone, let me go play hockey. And if I'm still awful once we get through the first half of the year, then you can just ride me all the way in for the rest of the year. And I'll give him credit. The one thing I'll give him credit for is he backed off, he let me play hockey. I was paired up with Gio that year and actually made some strides. And there was a small part of me that wanted him to come back the next year, but I knew it was him or Iggy. The two weren't quite seeing eye to eye, and obviously we knew who won out in that.
Yeah, that power struggle is a little easier to handicap than some other ones that exist.
Wow. That team was good too. Like Corey deciding to sign in Calgary. We had with Kipper, of course, you always thought you had a chance to win, but that team was designed to be, deep playoff runs. I think we dropped the ball a little bit, but for various reasons. But the time in the franchise, the time of where the team was in those years, it was supposed to be built for playoff success. We didn't have it, but it wasn't like they were building for the future. It was a team that was supposed to be winning.
Yeah. And San Jose, we should have beat them. I mean, we definitely dropped the ball there in the first round. We should have at least been able to get to a second round, but Chicago was pretty good. Like that was my second year here, and
you could see them coming.
Oh, they were all of a sudden intimidating to play against. Cause that place, when I finished up in Tampa and first is in Calgary, like it was a joke to go into Chicago, and it's kind of the end of the Daze days. And I even remember playing against Theo Fleury in there.
Yeah.
And it was like
Arneson and Daze, that whole crew.
7,000 fans.
Yeah. It was sad. It was the anthem. It's supposed to be a awesome experience. And it was it was like they're singing the anthem. It was embarrassing.
Yeah. Normally you cheer the whole anthem. The place is going nuts. 7,000 people in a 22,000 seat arena. I'd be, something's a little off here. Then they get Keith and Kane and Taves and Seabrook, and things were okay for a bit there, I think.
Where did they go?
Where they go? Hung a few banners. The anthem got good again.
I have been critical of the Flames this year. I was critical of the signings, saying, where are we as a franchise? Is this the right thing to do? Your thoughts in general on maybe the off season and those big signings, and are they? Well, I don't think anyone believes they're where they should be, but are you okay with how they've played so far?
I think it was a bit of a pickle, right? Like that I didn't ever expect Gaudreau to come back, but Tkachuk kind of making his decision, and they basically, I think, had to hit the panic button with their couple signings. Like you look at what's out there, but we have to do something because we've got a competitive team. We've got a really good goaltender, and now is the time. Like you can't not bring somebody back in. But when it happened, I like Kadri. He started out like a house on fire. Maybe he can't keep up that pace. But as far as shoring up your team, I mean, Johnny obviously not worth a crap defensively. Hard points to replace though. Yeah. And then you've got Tkachuk, who, unproven in the playoffs and wasn't all that dedicated to his own end. So I think if you swap out Tkachuk for Kadri, you're maybe still a little light in the points department, but I think you've got a better product overall. I know that Matthew's got a ton of upside because he's a little bit younger, but I feel like right now in the present, I feel like Kadri for me is a bit of an upgrade just all over the ice.
Center too, right?
Yeah. And then Huberdeau, um, I didn't think it would take him this long to kind of start to find his footing, but you can probably attest to it. And one of my biggest questions out there was, can they transition into the Canadian market flawlessly? And I know that Kadri's been there before. He's been in Toronto, so he's
fine.
He's fine. But I'm telling you, you come from a place like Tampa or Florida where you have complete anonymity. There's one reporter there covering you every day. You got 2 questions to answer. You head out in your flip-flops and get in your car and you go home and sneak some golf in every now and then. Like, coming to this market, it's not easy. And you feel the pressure. You feel the pressure to live up to your contract, to the expectations. And that's not an easy thing to settle into. And then all of a sudden, more of your time is chewed up because of the fan base, the knowledge, the fact that the Flames are very community oriented. And I just think that Huberdeau's transition has been more in line with the way I thought it would go than, like, obviously Kadri hot start, Huberdeau slow start, but I think they'll both get there. I think missing Shillington on the back end, there's a few points. I think we forget how many points he put up for this team, especially early last year.
That puck moving in the neutral zone too, like his ability to hit someone in stride. I mean, I think we even when he missed a week or two last year because of an injury, you're like, yeah, like it's just, you're not catching forwards at full speed as much with other guys back there. That first pass is really helpful.
And then I'll give Nikita Zadorov credit. He's filled in a lot for his partner from last year who left, but that was one of the biggest question marks for me. Like, I'm obviously defensively skewed, and you lose Gudbranson, who gets that many blocks in a game, who's that big of a body and who had a coming out year. He's one of the biggest gaps to fill for me. And I think the decor overall has done a pretty nice job, but there's still a little bit of grit missing back there.
Where are you at on Weegar? That's a guy that I think is, when he signed, he's a guy the analytics have always liked, but I saw a lot of like hockey guys saying this is a really good team. And I'm like, well, these are the types of players the hockey guys usually foam over, because the gaffes are bigger ones. I sort of liken him to TJ Brody. Like, he's a very competent player. He can play big minutes. He can play against top competition, but he's going to end up on the highlight reel for the wrong reasons every once in a while. But the underlying stuff, zone exits and entries, he's really good at. Where are you at on him? What is he? And do you see him as a guy that's elevating a partner, that's still finding his way? Like, what's he doing?
Well, it's the same thing for him. All of a sudden, it's a completely different market. He's got to find his footing. So we got to give him a little bit benefit of the doubt there. Please don't compare him to TJ. I mean,
what do you see similar and different there? I just mean skills.
I think as far as being a teammate, as far as presence in the dressing room,
Yeah.
as far as competitor, I think he's heads and tails. And I think
more physical for sure.
More physical. Yeah. I think that he has just as much offensive upside as TJ had. And then I feel like that because he's willing to get in the mix, that he will have more prolonged success.
Yeah.
It won't just be kind of when he decides, and he'll be there every night competing. So again, got to let him find his footing, find the right partner, let that stuff kind of sort it out. But I like the fiery competitiveness that he shows.
That's fair.
That for me, goes a long way. That's a guy that you can have patience with for me, because he's bringing it every night.
Rhett's
been harder to win over. Just your thoughts, Rhett, or at least your queries about what Weegar is or isn't?
I have not been hard. Well, I have been harder to win over, but I think it's expectation, because everyone's telling me he's a number 2 and this and that. And I'm like, well, is he? Wait a minute. Is he a 3 or 4? Like, to me, it's more where, don't tell me that this guy's a number 1 and maybe not even a number 2. I don't dislike his play so much, but if you're slotting him in as a number 2 defenseman, he should be doing more.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I mean, as far as top 4, yeah, you put him in that conversation for sure. Just even watching, if you compare him to Rasmus Andersson, Ras is having a solid year, and it's because his game is rounding out. And they both, I don't know what their games played would compare at, but it's got to be,
their careers
fairly
Weegar's
close.
quite a bit older than him.
Yeah, he's got a few more games, but
yeah,
I just think if you had to compare those two, because they're both competitive, kind of same size-ish, style of play, like I just think Rasmus, the ceiling is higher.
He's got that better offensive upside. He could run a power play more than you'd want Uyghur.
And
doing
he's just, for me right now, he's been even defensively more sound than Uyghur. So he'd be the guy that I'd be investing a little bit more in.
Wow, yeah, and they got him locked in a while ago on a nice contract. One of the things I think Daryl's trying to figure out is, okay, what side should Uyghur be on? He can play both. And who am I playing him with? I thought him and Tanev would stick, but he's got Tanev with Gilbert. You're probably 8, 9, 10, somewhere in there on the depth chart with Stone and Shillington absent and, Connor Mackey not performing well. Is it Tanev's the security blanket for Gilbert and, Zadorov and Uyghur can work? Or is it, hey, maybe he's on the right and Tanev likes the right too? I feel like Daryl's still trying to figure out all the pairs not named Hanifin and Anderson.
Yeah. I think it's your first assumption, more the security blanket.
Yeah.
You got a inexperienced guy in Gilbert, and you got to put someone there that's going to look out and maybe break up some mistakes, right? Tanev's a guy on 2-on-1s and breakdowns that seems to react the right way and can diffuse a lot of those situations. So whereas Zadorov, I wouldn't want to see him and Gilbert together. And then obviously,
Yeah.
Uyghur's still trying to kind of really solidify himself here. He needs a guy maybe with a little more presence to play with too. So, and you got to give Zadorov credit. He's asked to have more responsibility. He's gotten more this year, and I've been pretty impressed. He still makes the odd mistake for, I think, trying to do too much, but that's better than sitting back and not doing anything. So you can kind of live with a few of his mistakes.
Yeah. And it was 25 minutes the other night. Like that's not a spot many people have been comfy with Nikita Zadorov in his career. I think it speaks to him sort of rounding into form, evolving.
Isn't that what you call him? The roller coaster, Pinder?
I did call him the roller coaster. I think it is. Like, honestly, you watch him jump into the rush. You're like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. Wow, amazing. And then you see him last man back getting cute with the puck and getting caught and creating a 2-on-1. You're like, if he's a third pair, I love the guy. Top 4, I just see him too much. I don't need the roller coaster all day. I can do it once in the morning, once in the afternoon. I don't like every other shift feels a bit much.
The part I miss though, because he's starting to shore up his game a little bit and he's a little bit more internally responsible, is when he first came in the league and he would just run a couple guys and he would absolutely railroad them. Like, there's still a time for that.
He's had a few big ones this year.
Don't completely forget about that, Z. Like, let's have a couple of train wrecks out there.
Yeah, there is that. Okay. I want to, do you have a favorite hit of your career? Because you've got like a very, very high profile highlight reel of hits. And is that something where you're like, they stand out or not? Or is that just going to the office and some people like this workday more than that one?
Yeah. It's like, this is my calling card in Calgary. The one against Marleau. I can't remember.
Let's get sound on this and watch from the beginning, and then I'll get you to react. If we can restart it, Alex, with sound up, that'd be great. So this is playoffs. This is San Jose. You guys are down 3-0, and something needed to happen to change momentum in the building.
Yeah. Mike was telling us somebody better do something in between periods to make a statement. So I don't know. I guess, is this still the first period?
It's early.
For some reason, I thought it was the third period. It was another game where Joe Thornton broke my foot. He told me to go do something. Yeah, and this one I just did the old fake like I'm leaving, going to skate backwards, and Patty didn't recheck. And so
that's Sasky on Sasky crime. That's tough.
You gotta
might have been
check,
a suspension.
you got to check twice before you cross the road. You cannot look once.
Yeah, you better not just look once.
So I believe you guys came back from 3-0, and everyone on the broadcast is talking about that could be your turning point. You guys came back and win that game. Huge.
Yeah, and then Jeremy Roenick got the better of us in Game 7 down in San Jose.
Yeah, but it was my criticism of Keenan. He ended me, but maybe it was time for Rhett to end anyway. But his handling of that Game 7 was embarrassing. And don't you dare tell the story about what happened the next day.
Yeah, well, Saris gave us that piece of gold a year ago, I think, didn't he?
Yeah, wow. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what happened in that first period in San Jose. Part of it's still a little bit of a blur. My memory, again, is not great. But I don't know. Something was mismanaged there. I'll agree with you.
Did he pull Kipper there, or was that a different series?
Yes, he pulled Kipper on 2 goals after 2 goals.
In a Game 7.
I almost threw one of those folding tables into the stands. I was so mad. And who went out? Who was the backup? Big name guy. Curtis Joseph. He sends Cujo in cold, and then he lets in the next shot. It was like, here we go.
There's the series.
I think I know what he was trying to do is to get us going because we were pretty flat in that first period. Wasn't probably our
great.
best.
You weren't great, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, that's the move. Oh.
Yeah. No. It usually takes 3 or 4 for a goalie to come out. Those are Mike's head games, and they bit him in the ass.
Yeah. Fair enough. A couple other Sarich highlights. Do you remember your hit on Taylor Hall? It looked like he didn't remember it. He was on another planet.
He's lucky. Well, he's lucky that he bailed.
He did bail hard,
I was going right through him, suspension and no suspension.
Battle of Alberta here.
This was headshot. But he actually hit.
You'll see the other angle, right?
He hit the deck, so he didn't get the full brunt of it.
Yeah, watch him see the train coming and like, I'm out of here.
He did eat a little elbow there.
That's his fault.
I have to say though, probably my favorite is my junior hit.
The junior hit we have. We no sound on the junior hit. It's grainy, but we can show the junior hit. It's so famous. A guy this summer said, "I know the guy that was on the receiving end of that Sarich hit in junior."
Oh yeah, I know who it is too.
This is a suicide pass for the ages. And how about a ride on around the old roller coaster?
I got railroaded in the other end of the rink down in the corner. So I had to pick up my glove and get my stick, and I was real mad.
Oh,
and so I was really late coming up for the play.
Yeah.
That was I don't know who his D partner that was there, but that was a terrible pass. But should we mention who that was?
Go ahead. Sure. I mean,
Quinn Hancock. I'd probably call him a pal right now. Good player.
Yeah.
Highly offensive. I think at this point of the game, it's like 2-1, 2-0, 1-1, something like that. Again, my memory's awful. And hit Quinn. I think the stretcher came out and everything. And I actually thought I separated my shoulder. And he left the game for a while, but due to it being the 90s and limited concussion protocol,
as in none. Yeah.
He came back.
He came back with a stretcher out.
And he had a couple of goals, maybe 3 points. They shellacked us like 7-2, 7-3. He probably knows all those details. And
oh man,
probably shouldn't have woke him up.
That's a nice highlight reel. Not a lot of guys can throw 3 hits at you like that for career highlights. That's quite something.
I know I've got some really good ones in Tampa too, but it's crazy. Like the old VHS tapes and the video
squares, right? It's not the widescreen,
hard to
no
see.
HD. Thanks for coming in. I wish we had more time. It flies when we get into story mode.
Sure does.
Rhett, any last thoughts here? We don't know when Rhett's coming back. We don't know if he's allowed in the country. We don't know if he's allowed to leave the U.S., but it sure would be fun to get you guys together and have a few pops and get more into those
the alumni. Are you keeping the alumni organized? Everything's going smooth enough with the alumni?
Yeah, well, we got Cooner, and then Glenny's always on top of things, so everything's great there. Lanny's mustard seed game's back on, but 0 alumni skates so far, unless I fell off the mailing list.
Jeez.
I know.
And what
too
about
many
the kid?
too many hockey teams?
Are you coaching?
Coaching Cochrane Rockies hockey. We're 2-0 in the league.
2-0. That's 2-0.
Yeah, it was all tiering rounds so far. So
all right.
We've played my
season.
middle kid. My middle kid has played more games already this year than he had his whole life. Like so much hockey.
What time do they shut her down there? Mid-February?
No,
they'll just roll her right through.
Yeah, they just keep playing. Why not?
Okay, fellas.
Wait. Last one. Anything to do in Utica? Have you been to Utica? Did they have a team?
No, the Comets weren't. They were in the U-Haul.
Okay.
It was described as a post-apocalyptic hellscape by one online when the Canucks moved their farm team there.
Yeah,
so
they had a
look
team.
out.
They had a team in the UHL.
The U-Haul, baby.
Yeah.
I get to go to
You're going to Utica.
Sunday I'm in Utica, so that'll be great.
Is there something in Ithaca? I know
It
all
could
those.
be nicer. There's probably a big school there.
I know all those those towns up and down the highway on the way to Adirondack.
Mm.
Beautiful spot.
Rhett, have a good weekend, will you?
I'm gonna continue my intake of calories. I'm gonna go for an 8,000 per day weekend. I'm going for it. 4 in a
Good
row.
Lord.
Good to see you, Retro. Hopefully it's in
You too.
person one of these days.
Yeah,
come
and
visit,
Corey,
Sarge.
thanks for coming
Come
in.
visit.
Thanks for having me, Ryan.
We'll do it again soon. We'll get more into story time that felt abbreviated, but hey, it's hungover Friday after Thanksgiving
Get your
football.
ass out of bed, Sarge.
Appreciate you.
Hey.
Also, coming up next week, a reminder, we got to give away those tickets to the Kachuk Bowl. Take a screenshot of yourself following our new YouTube channel. Flames Nation's got their own. That's going to be great. Kachuk Bowl, Mad Rose giving us those tickets. Big thank you to the folks up in the Northwest at Mad Rose. And we've got exciting news. Jasper, how are we getting involved with Jasper? We'll tell you more about that next week as well. Have a great weekend. Oilers Nation every day
Oilers
is coming up
suck.
next on YouTube.
I second that motion.
See ya.